A high conflict divorce, it feels like this intensely personal crisis, right? But what if I told you it's also a major workplace phenomenon? We're not just talking about one person's bad day here. We're talking about a ripple effect that touches entire teams, torpedoes productivity, and slams a company's bottom line. So how in the world does this personal storm create such a costly corporate tidal wave? Let's get into it. Which brings us to the big question. The multi-billion-dollar question, literally. How does something so private, a relationship ending, turn into a problem that costs businesses billions and billions of dollars every single year? The answer? Well, it reveals this deep and honestly often overlooked connection between our personal well-being and our professional lives. To really understand the full impact, we've got to start right at the epicenter, with the person who's going through it all. And look, this isn't just about feeling sad. This is a full-blown personal storm that just consumes mental, emotional, and even physical resources.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because you can see how this internal battle just breaks down. Cognitively, your brain is completely overloaded. You're trying to focus on a spreadsheet, but part of your mind is replaying a fight or planning a call with a lawyer. Emotionally, that constant stress and anxiety just drains your motivation. And physically, well, the body always keeps the score. Poor sleep, stress headaches, those aren't just personal problems. They're direct drains on professional energy and focus.
And that internal storm, it doesn't stay locked up inside for long. It just inevitably starts to create these ripples. And the very first place they hit is the workplace. This is the moment where that private struggle becomes a very visible performance issue. Think about your team right now. Statistically, if just 5 of them were going through a divorce, 4 of them would be seriously struggling to keep up. Get this, a staggering 81% report a significant loss in productivity. This is not some fringe issue. This is the norm.
And it's not just about being distracted at the desk either. 73% also report a big spike in absenteeism. We're talking court dates, lawyer calls, and just days of pure emotional exhaustion. That's a real, physical, empty chair that the rest of the team, well, they have to pick up the slack for.
And if you're thinking, okay, it's just a temporary slump, well, this chart here tells a very different story. In those first 6 months, productivity can absolutely crash by 40%. And it is not a quick recovery. Performance can stay down by 20% for a year or even more. This isn't a dip, it's a prolonged drought. Okay, so we've seen the personal toll, right? And we've seen the performance dip. But what happens when you actually start adding up those numbers? You get a second, much larger ripple that hits a company right where it hurts, the bottom line. Believe it or not, researchers have actually put a price tag on this lost productivity. We're talking $8,300. That's the annual cost to a company for every single employee going through a divorce. Just imagine that amount of money just, poof, vanishing from your balance sheet. Okay, now let's scale that up for a second. In a company with just 10 employees in this situation, you are looking at over $83,000 walking right out the door. All of a sudden, this isn't an HR issue anymore. It's a 5-figure financial leak.
And then when you zoom all the way out to the national level, the number is it's staggering. High conflict divorce streams an estimated $6 billion from U.S. businesses every single year. This isn't a personal problem. It's a massive systemic drag on the entire economy.
But you know who's at an even bigger risk? Entrepreneurs. For them, it's magnified like exponentially. There's no corporate buffer. Their personal crisis is a direct attack on their business's survival, potentially cutting profitability in half. For them, the stakes just couldn't be any higher. But, the pressure on an employee, it's not just coming from the divorce itself. There's this other kind of hidden ripple that adds an immense amount of weight. The impact on their children. And that weight comes right back to the office, every single day.
And this right here, this shows you exactly why the level of conflict is the absolute key. It is the difference between a child who adjusts pretty well and one who really struggles in school and at home. So for that parent, that employee, that's just another huge layer of stress and distraction that they are carrying with them into every single meeting and every project.
So, okay, the ripples are clear, right? And they are definitely costly. But here's the good news. This isn't some force of nature that we're powerless against. By understanding the problem, we can actually start to reverse the tide.
There are clear, actionable ways to provide support that can make a huge difference. For employers, the absolute key is to be proactive, not reactive. Think of this like a simple framework for real, structured support. It's about training managers to spot the signs, offering genuine flexibility, pointing people to resources, and this is crucial, doing it all while maintaining professional boundaries and trust.
And this quote, man, it really brings it all home. Look, supporting an employee isn't just a compassionate act. It's just smart business strategy. Ignoring the problem is basically accepting a known risk that will impact productivity, morale, and your bottom line.
And hey, for the employee who's actually caught in the middle of this storm, this isn't just about surviving. It's about taking back some control. Simple tactics like creating a digital boundary, using your personal phone for private matters can make a huge difference. Taking short mental breaks and communicating your needs clearly can help you build a firewall between a chaotic personal life and a productive professional one. So that leaves us with one final question to think about. After seeing the billions in lost productivity, after all this, is supporting your people through a crisis really just a cost? Or is it maybe one of the smartest strategic investments you could possibly make in your people, in your culture, and in your bottom line?